What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where today I want to talk a little bit about some players that could be traded. Maybe not anytime soon. Maybe it's just before the trade deadline, depending on how the Colts season going, how other teams' seasons are going. It's things that I'm kind of looking at right now to see, hey, if things, right, contingency plans, even though it's not my job to have contingency plans as a fan, I like to try to project what's going to come up. I feel like I have a good idea of how Chris Ballard does business. I feel like, hey, maybe we talk about all this and it means nothing. But when you look at some of the guys on the roster and what we could save and what we might be able to do because of trading those guys, it just, in my opinion, it would make some sense if you're trying to win right now. You got a rookie quarterback, or well, you got a quarterback on a rookie contract. So with that, you have the ability to pay some guys elsewhere. Maybe not long-term deals at this point, but if you can somehow swing away where you can get some guys in here, that would be, I don't want to say more effective. It's not like we're going to be trading one for one. You know what I mean? It's just trading for the things we need. So here, there's a big lead up for that. But at the end of the day, we've talked about one of these guys a lot, and a lot of the fans have talked about one of the other guys a lot. So we're going to start with Braden Smith, a guy that I've mentioned a lot as could be somebody who's traded before the end of the 2024 season. And it didn't happen throughout this offseason. He's just now getting back on the field, and he's just now getting back to trying to be himself again. But in the meantime, while he's been somebody who's been dealing with injuries over the last couple of years, they went and got Blake Freeland last year, and Blake Freeland, just like Bernard Raymond, seems to have come in stronger. Seems like he's worked on the things that people thought he needed to work on. He's continuing to need to get better, right? But the development for Blake Freeland, it has been a good sign. I've seen a few different people say that Blake Freeland looks better this year and more like a tackle this year than he did last year. So with him coming in, and then also getting Matt Gonsalves. And Matt Gonsalves can play outside, but also has the versatility to slide inside. So, what are they going to do with all these guys? Is Blake Freeland going to end up sticking at the right tackle? Then they put Gonsalves at the right guard at some point? Like, what is the plan with all of these linemen? Right, and I think Gonsalves and Bortolini can be good for us in the future. But again, they're guys that need to develop. You could tell during the walkout when the Colts put the video out of all the offensive linemen walking to practice, you could just tell, the younger guys, the guys that were drafted this year, as opposed to guys that have been in the league for multiple years. It seems like that's a common thing, right? These NFL offensive linemen are massive human beings. Okay, so our guys got to develop. That seems to be the case. So when are they going to feel comfortable getting rid of Braden Smith? And again, because it's Ballard, hey, he might not do anything. But we also learned through Hard Knocks that, hey, there's probably a lot of stuff that Ballard does that we don't ever hear about. And that's just the way Ballard and his building, that's the way they want things, is that we're not hearing about a bunch of this stuff. So honestly, I could see a way where Braden Smith gets traded, especially when you look at the numbers, right? A post June 1st trade, and this is according to Over the Cap. Braden Smith, we would have $3 million in dead money, but the cap savings would be $13.683 million. So over $10 million in cap savings, even though there's $3 million in dead money for the rest of this season. So for Braden Smith to get traded, it would benefit us. It would open up space. Now, obviously, it'd be, what are you trading Braden Smith for? There would probably be some draft capital there coming from the other side, possibly, getting a player that is also getting paid a lot of money, but that $10 million that you're saving, boom, going into that. And right, so that's what I'm talking about is, there's a possibility because of the way the Colts have drafted that, hey, maybe they feel, and the people in the building feel like, hey, we feel comfortable if we go ahead and do this for a right tackle who's been good for us in the past, but also is somebody that has been injured over the course of his career, and maybe we can move on from him, go to somebody younger, and build up both tackles with Anthony Richardson as we go into the future. So would think that that's a plausible situation going on. Again, we're probably not going to hear anything about anything like that, but just talking about cap hits. The cap hit this year, $16.683 million, and then as I go into next year, Braden Smith is at $19.75 million. That is the third biggest cap hit this year and next year for the Indianapolis Colts. Is Braden Smith on the current team that we have? Is Braden Smith worth being the third highest paid guy, or the third? His cap number, the cap hit for him, is the third highest on the team. That doesn't. He's again a good player. He's been good for us in the past. I don't want to just completely seem like I'm just trying to bash him, but I just don't think he's worth that $20 million cap hit, bro. Like, I just don't think it's worth it. And so that's what's going to be tough for other teams, right? When you talk about trading, is another team going to want to take that on? That's the hard part, is that he's kind of hard to trade at this point. But again, if they traded for a player that had a lot of value, maybe there's some wiggle room there that they could figure something out. Okay, but then as we go on, another player, the player that fans have talked about a lot, and the one that probably makes the most sense on the entire roster is Mo Alley-Cox. But how can you trade him? He's in the last year of his contract. Will you be able to trade him? Okay, the dead money at a trade at this point is zero. The cap savings, $5.92 million. So there's no downside to trading other than you're not having a blocking tight end. But there's a team in a trade that I'm thinking of where it would make sense to send Mo Alley-Cox to a team that likes to run the ball. And we're going to have a video about potential trade offers that the Colts might be able to make. We're going to do that tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribing, notifications on, so you can notify when that comes out. But Mo Alley-Cox, a lot of fans have talked about, hey, it's time to get rid of him, time to get rid of him. We have so many tight ends. It would really make a lot of sense to trade him. It's just kind of like Braden Smith. Like, who are you going to find that wants to take him on? You're going to have to find a compelling reason. There's going to have to be a compelling package to go along with what Mo Alley-Cox, you're just throwing him into something, basically. And then that's how that would go. And it's not like you're saving a whole bunch of money, but again, $5.92 million, it's almost $6 million in cap savings. Braden Smith, you get $10 million, $10.683 million with that. So at that point, you're sitting at, what would that be? Almost 11 plus almost 6. So, 17, probably we'll just call it 16.5, somewhere in that range that you're saving if you're able to trade both those guys. And that's, of course, like simple math, and that's not all that goes into it. But for the most part, that's what we're looking at, right? Like, if you bundle those guys together, boom, so you have $16.5 million basically added in cap space for that guy coming in. You know what I mean? So I just think that there's value in trading these veteran guys. It's just whether or not they're going to be able to. And the way you're able to do things like that is throwing in other assets. And what other assets? Draft picks, maybe young guys, young receivers, right? And that's where Alec Pierce comes into the conversation. What are the chances he gets traded? I don't know. He's looked pretty good. Maybe that if he does well in the preseason, maybe that helps his trade value. And they just say, AD showed enough. He can be the guy. Maybe that's the way they want to go. I feel like continuity and competition is something that they feel like they can thrive on. So how likely is that? I don't know. But when I'm looking through the roster and I'm starting to think, at the end of the day, who could go? It could be one of the wide receivers, right? Josh Downs last year, A.D. Mitchell this year, Anthony Gould this year, Ashton Doolin coming back, and we know he has the versatility to play big minutes on offense, which he's had to do in the past, or he can be one of the best special teamers in the NFL, which he's also done in the past. So there's so many options at receiver. And again, when you're talking about special teams flexibility, does Alec Pierce have a whole lot of that? I just don't know if that's really going to be the case. So I think he's somebody that you could throw into a trade package and be one of those younger assets if he shows out well in the preseason. He's looked good so far throughout camp. He's I've seen some people say that he's winning the competition with AD. I've seen some people say AD's winning that competition. Whatever the case is, they're both having good moments, both having good days at different times. AD seems more consistent at this point, but Alec Pierce did have one big day a couple days ago. So we'll see how that competition goes. We'll see what Alec Pierce can do in the preseason and see if there's anything that, as we look forward, is there something that might pop up for the Colts? You know, I thought about, hey, maybe Kylan Granson could be a guy that gets traded, but with the way he's able to be a mismatch for the tight end position, I just think he's too valuable in this offense. I think Shane Steichen likes his skill sets too much to trade him, so I don't think that's really an option. Right, we've had injuries to defensive ends, so that takes out any of those guys. Really, offensive linemen. There's a lot of guys we could, have playing for us in the future. So, again, there's really not a whole lot past that in terms of trading that I think the Colts would end up doing. But there are guys that I think, or that if the Colts went out and got and made a trade offer for and brought him in, I wouldn't be mad about it. We're in win now mode. And if we could figure something out that would be smart for us, but also, help us win right now, if you could do both those things at the same time, hey, I'm all for it. So we're going to explore that again in a video tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe with notifications on. Got a lot more content coming out tomorrow. The Colts have a practice from 4 to 5:30, I think is what the times are. I know it starts at 4. But we'll probably be on recording, going live somewhere around 6. I'll get that scheduled here after I get done recording this so that you guys can all go ahead and have that. But again, make sure you're subscribed, have notifications on so you get notified when any of this is going on. I want to know your opinion about all of this down in the comment section. I feel like I kind of just stopped saying that. It probably shouldn't just be assumed. Of course, I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. And of course, appreciate you stopping by for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.